What's up, everyone? Joe Gray here today with another AMA warm up. Today, I'm joined by my dude Robert from Iron Neck. Robert, what's up, man?
How's it going, man? Happy to be here, Joe.
It's good. Thursday, weather's fantastic. Got a little drop in the temps here, so no complaints. Looking forward to the weekend. Uh,
Well, yeah, here in Tampa, Florida, we're starting to get all the rain, so it's coming.
yeah, we had our first 100-degree day this last weekend. Then it dropped back down. We're in the like 80s right now, so fingers crossed we make it through most of June before we hit the nastiness. So, but you do what you do, and yeah, we put in a mini split and insulation and stuff at the beginning of the year for the garage to prep for what is probably going to be not fun. So, but the troubles of working out in your garage sometimes. So, all right, man. So you are from Iron Neck. Go ahead and tell me, who are you? Why are you here?
Yeah, my name's Robert Sherman. I'm a co-founder of IronNeck. We make the most effective 360-degree neck training equipment for people dealing with neck pain, poor posture, and injury recovery and prevention. Been growing the business for the past 10 years. We've had quite an evolution from NFL concussion prevention focus to rehab and neck pain, which is a big part of modern challenges. So excited to be here and chat. Obviously, home gyms is a big piece. Our product integrates very well into that, and so I think this is an audience that obviously looking forward to sharing a bit from our end. But we're a really good listening company, so we're always all ears, and I know we're going to get some good questions here to dig into it.
Awesome. So I think it's always important to know kind of what your background is in terms of lifting, fitness, etc. To me, it makes a big difference that someone kind of walks the walk. So, what does that look like for you and maybe the company as a whole? Lifting, running, jumping, whatever kind of thing. Where did it start? What's that look like now? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so personally, my journey, I started lifting in a very unserious way, going to the gym with my parents when I was young. My dad would have, you know, Sunday hoops, and I'd go, and I was too small to, actually be able to play in these games, but I would go and mess around in the weight room and all these different machines, and I'd try not to get in too much trouble, but that was kind of the first introduction, aside from there being some loose weights around in the house. I played pretty much all sports growing up, and so that was really the kind of the first points of starting to get more dedicated or structured and intentional workouts and lifting. And even at that stage, it wasn't something that I had no desire to become a professional basketball player or baseball player, but this was the first time that, all right, there's regiment and you're going through it, and struggling in a new way, right? Leading into high school, and then in high school became completely obsessed with golf, and so golf specific training started to kind of creep into what I was focused on in the weight room. Um, since then, and I've always been on the move, biking, running. I live here in Tampa. I'm running on Bayshore, biking on Bayshore. I'm in the gym probably 3, 4, or 5 times a week, depending on if I'm traveling or not. But now I turned 40 this weekend, so for me, it's much more about maintenance and longevity. I wouldn't say that my training is anything special. It's just for me, it's important that when I'm in the gym, I'm moving weight and I'm doing it quickly. And sometimes it's so I'm not kind of sticking around or looking at my phone and getting bored, but
Sure.
getting in, moving weight, feeling like my muscles are releasing all the good things into my body. And that's kind of been my process now. Now that's my experience. I think it's important to look at the origins of the company too. So this product was born in the NFL. The inventor, Mike Jolly, he played football and wrestled at UCLA in the early 80s. And so that was, he had NFL or teammates that went and had long NFL careers. Brain damage ultimately destroyed these people's lives. And there was this kind of, moment of reflection, and also he was coaching O-line, D-line on the side as well. And so he was seeing the frequency of these impacts happen. And so um, his whole, I mean, he was an athlete growing up. He was a trainer out in LA. He's been in a number of movies. 3 O'clock High is one where he's the guy that comes in and then gets punched in the face. So some people kind of see him, is that guy in that movie? Um, he also he also played. Was the guy who was heckling Jenny in Forrest Gump when she's playing the guitar scene with in the chair. So,
Okay, funny.
but he was an athletic trainer or personal trainer throughout that period. And then on these teams, he was working with O-line, D-line. So his whole journey has been very specifically in the strength and conditioning side. And that's where the company started. I mean, the product was invented to specifically help athletes reduce the risk of concussion. And neck was this one area that, hey, some people are paying attention to this, but some aren't. And at the high school level, especially, I mean, we would, and he found this early on, and we would find this, even in the later years, that I mean, there are teams that just are doing nothing for neck strength,
Yeah.
and we're here scratching our head around, what kind of negligence is this here? So,
Yeah.
Mike's journey has always been in strength, and then our other business partner, Sean, he's long been a weight room junkie. He's military, and actually, we met in business school, and he actually ran a hard workout club amongst it. So he had a bunch of 30 somethings that were just huffing and puffing and doing bear crawls in the park. And so it's what's unique is that you have these different individuals in the company who really come from very different experiences, right? I was never a hardcore weight room junkie. I was always more focused on like what's functional. As a golfer, I'm not looking to bulk up. I want to be flexible, but
Yep.
you want to balance that strength and mobility kind of aspect, right? And so I've kind of brought some of that. Like the only concussions I'm dealing with in golf, it's like if you're hitting yourself in the head. uh, you know, Mike is coming from this origin story. Sean, one of the unique perspectives he brought from being in the Army was that he'd have 10 plus pounds of gear on his head, and they never did anything for neck. He said that they did it for
Sure.
core and legs, but it's like it seems obvious, but it's overlooked. And so these are all different markets that like we have gone after at different times, and we've been able to bring our perspectives to kind of contribute to it in different ways.
Cool. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. The diverse background is certainly a big piece of the puzzle because I know, like, if he was like, football is the only thing that matters, right? You'd miss that's like less than 1% of the population, right? So, yeah, being able to talk to, you're probably more in the world of what we'd call Gen Pop, right? And being able to understand how that applies to that group, et cetera. So, which I think takes us into our next question pretty well. Well, maybe we're going to skip one and jump into that one, and we'll come back, right? So,
Sure.
this next one is, what is the biggest challenge in selling a neck strengthening product? Uh,
Yeah. So I'd say there's two things, and I think the second is more significant than the first. The first is we sell a neck strengthening product. We'll refer to it as a neck training device too, because
yeah.
there's a big mobility aspect to it.
Okay.
And we are claiming this is going to help reduce or eliminate your neck pain. And it looks like a medieval torture device, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't, you don't see this and just naturally think, yeah, I want to put that on. It's going to make my neck feel so good.
Yeah.
When you use it for a couple of minutes to take it off, you're like, oh, wow, okay, this does feel good. But it's a big ask, right? Trust
Yep.
us. Here's an ad on Instagram, put this on. It, it doesn't, you don't start from this place of, yep, that makes sense, right?
Yep.
If you're first seeing this in a PT clinic and your PT is saying, put this on, it's going to help. Even then you're like, I know I'm paying
Yeah.
you, I trust you, but like, I don't, right. So even in those settings, it's tough. So that's one challenge, but it's secondary to really what has been the whole existence of this company of the past decade, which is, um, if your neck hurts, or even in the athlete space, if you're, let's say you're a parent of an athlete, right, and you are concerned about concussion prevention, right? My kids' team, school has the best helmets and padding, and they're teaching the right things, but this kid got concussed. What can I do as a parent? I'm right. Neck strength is just not something that intuitively is there. It's not on the
Sure.
checklist, right? So, um, and
You're
uh,
thinking thicker helmet or something or whatever, right?
right,
Yeah.
like staple pillows onto your helmet, right?
Yeah.
Like that would help. Um, and that's kind of the intuitive thinking, but um, it's just not something that is even it registers, right? And so
Sure.
that's the case on the athlete concussion prevention side, where just some people don't, the dots don't connect naturally, right? Well, how's
Sure.
neck? This is the brain. I've seen the video where your whiplash and the brain goes here and then it goes here. Well, nothing is really linear either, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's rotational forces, and depending on where the impact is coming from. And so, to someone who has a kinesiology degree, they get it, right?
Sure.
To someone that doesn't, it's a little harder. And then, on the neck pain side, I mean, anyone that's listening, right? I mean, just your neck hurts. What's the process you kind of go through? One, it's like, I gotta maybe take some Advil, right?
Yeah.
I gotta buy a massage gun or go get a massage. Um, I'm getting ads for CBD topical,
Yeah.
or any type of topical ointment. And then it might already be there where you're already going to a chiropractor once a
Yeah.
week or once a month, right? And so
Or you're
those are
running
the things you
through like
check.
a thousand different stretches and stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's in no way to denigrate any of those things, because I mean
Yeah.
I've used those, I have many of those,
Yeah.
but they don't fix anything root cause, right? These are
Yeah.
all short-term
Yeah.
relief,
Yeah.
and they're important as pieces to the whole,
Yeah.
but a lot of our customers look very similar in that they have gone through that and they're still searching. It
Yeah.
hasn't gotten, maybe, my 8 out of 10 pain is down to a 7 or a 6, and that's great.
Sure.
But I just, there's more, right? And so it's oftentimes just the people that are still searching that find it, right? Or, and then for whatever reason, they'll get
Because they
peppered
just
with
go,
Facebook ads, right?
screw it,
And,
I'll try this thing, right?
and yeah, and, that's often what it is, um, I can't believe I'm gonna do this. This thing looks
Yeah.
ridiculous. But it helps when you have, guys like Joe Rogan who are speaking highly of it. Um, those aren't one-off things. I mean, he's mentioned us over 30 times organically over the
Yeah.
years, and that's been the combination of a lot of his guests have jacked up necks,
Yeah.
right? A lot of fighters.
Fighters,
And
athletes,
we have a
etc.
product that he's just authentically liked. And
Yep.
what's funny with him is we've sent him all the updates over the years, and we actually learned from a podcast later on that he actually stopped using the newer ones we were sending him because he liked kind of the older, heavier metal. It doesn't need to be as comfortable. And it was just kind of funny because it was like,
Yeah.
is it good that he's saying that, or it's just authentic, right? But the
Yeah.
masses aren't going to want, this like
Sure.
6-pound device. There's a 2-pound version that's been,
Yeah.
being used in PT clinics, and a lot more conducive. So yeah, I think, the educational piece is, for most companies, is a big thing. But,
Yeah.
when people first discover our product, it takes most people some time, right?
Yeah.
To kind of do the research, and then ultimately with any product, that's, in the hundreds of dollars, and it's not just, I'll take a $30, swing at this on Instagram. Especially when you lay over the last, couple years economy wise, it's tough. It's tough for all these businesses. And so, at the end of the day, people have to make their own decisions. And if your neck hurts, you're going to find a way to put an end to that at some point. And so, we do our best to, provide the best resources for people to kind of continue to educate. And then we also just put forth the horse's mouth, right? these are all the people that use this product. Here are all the
Sure.
professionals, PTs, chiropractors, athletes, strength coaches, trainers. Um, you get a lot of unique perspectives. And so, we've brought a lot of that into our training to create a lot more of that specific kind of roadmap mentality to, how you progress through using the product.
Yep. Yeah. And this is maybe when you were talking, I was kind of thinking about like, it's like I've heard people talk about people with depression and other issues. And one of the like most impactful, like easy things they can add to their routine is exercise, like regular exercise.
Yeah,
And similar
absolutely.
concept of like, I don't feel good. Let me go lift weights is probably not the 1-to-1 ratio thing that they're thinking of, right?
So yeah, we've got IronNeck plugged into a couple of universities, and from a research standpoint, part of this has always been like, what's happening in the muscles when you're using IronNeck? What's
Sure.
what's so special with this versus, if I'm neck bridging or just using a band or a towel, right, or anything, and there's one aspect of just any neck training, right? Getting blood to go through these muscles,
Yeah.
getting these muscles activated. And it's not just, for some people, it's these deep neck flexors that you're just not even hitting, right? I mean,
Yeah.
even someone who's doing some neck strengthening, you might just be hitting kind of these bigger muscles and not hitting deep neck flexors. And I remember um, w- in Austin, we're close with a concussion clinic there, and so we'll get some patients referred to us, or just, hey, you got to go get this iron neck. Go to their
Sure.
headquarters; they'll try it out. And this we had a few NFL players come by, and there was one guy I remember who was captain linebacker of one of these of an NFL team. This guy comes in, his neck is the size of my waist, and he struggles to get our 25-pound band even halfway extended, right? So you're talking maybe
Okay.
like 12, 13 pounds. And I mean, this was I think a year and a half, 2 years in. So you know I've been like a couple weekends a month, I'm at conferences, I'm using the product in the booth. I mean, none of my dress shirts fit anymore.
Sure.
I put on an inch plus on my neck, and um so I'm able to fully extend like a 50-pound band.
Yeah.
Here I am, kind of this. I mean, I'm 6'3", I'm a little bigger, but I don't have anything like the build on this guy, and
Sure.
he's struggling. And the net of it was, she explained to us that she had never seen a pro athlete with deep neck flexors as weak as this guy.
Wow.
And it's weird because you just look at these NFL players and you think, that is a tree trunk for a neck.
Yeah.
Um, but and I have no idea why. I mean, he could have had some injury at some point. Um, but when you look at the different modalities of neck strengthening, a lot of what people have historically done has been using a four-way neck machine.
Yeah.
Very effective at adding mass. But if you're not using it the right way, if you're getting your body more into the movement, um, you know, that's kind of one path to maybe not be activating muscles in the right way. When you look at iron neck, the 360-degree nature and the fact that you're engaging these muscles isometrically, that you're not really missing a muscle, right? And you can feel it, right? So if it's connected, you're facing towards the band and you back up, all the muscles down your posterior chain are engaged, right? You turn 180 degrees and face the other way, it's pulling you backwards now. Now your whole anterior chain is engaged. You can move 360 degrees through that. You can move on multiplanar movements. So you can actually put your head and neck and body in any position. You can change the angle of that resistance band. You can change the level of the resistance band. And then in our pro version, you have the ability to adjust the rotational resistance. So that adds friction similar to a spin bike as you rotate. So that adds a concentric component to the movement. So, the idea, and this was one of these moments that for us was a little bit validating around, yeah, I mean, any neck strengthening is better than nothing. But
Sure.
if you're neck bridging, with weights on your head, right? I mean, probably not the best way to go about it. And when you're talking about a home gym, yeah, I mean, unless you are like the neck person, you're not gonna have a four-way neck machine, right? It just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. So yeah, I think, for us, it's just been um, kind of continuing to understand and see kind of where we can fit the holes.
Yeah, I know. So you're the football player you're talking about. It makes me think of like the guys with the six pack abs who can't do a plank, right? Like they built all the superficial muscles, right? But all the little stuff underneath that actually does the brunt of the work is just not doing its thing. And then for the home gym piece, I know one of the other things I've seen over the years with neck bridging, there's no way to like start anywhere like a neck bridge is already like a
Right.
really complicated exercise, right? And there's no way to like start like you don't start curls with 40-pound dumbbells, right? You start with fives or whatever. So the iron neck you can start much lower, right? And then build your way up. Whereas the neck bridge is just it just is, right? Like you could make it
Yeah.
more
Well,
difficult in some ways, but trying to make it less difficult is pretty difficult. So
yeah, and I mean, this is less relevant in the home gym setting, but in the team gym setting, the more common modality is partner manual resistance, right? So you're putting a
okay,
head on a thigh, head on a hand, whatever it
sure.
is.
Someone just
Um,
goes like kind
and
of thing.
if you have good coaches and you have a good system, you absolutely can implement that, and it can be very effective. Now, this is a system you're maybe trusting high school kids to not be dicking around,
Sure.
um, even if you do that, you lose complete insight into how much resistance is this, right? Like,
Yeah.
how is it? Is there? There's no way to actually have any type of progressive
Yeah.
path in this because it's like, okay, that kid's actually trying, right? And he's pushing, and that's like 15
Yeah.
pounds of resistance, and like these kids are just messing around and they're just like,
Yeah.
this is a Hollywood, hand on and we're grimacing,
Yeah.
but there's no actual, like, the neck muscles aren't even going, right? So
Yeah.
um that's one of the things that, for iron neck, when you're using this with a band, you control the resistance with your feet, right? I mean, these bands, all five levels of them, start at 3 feet at 0 pounds, right? You step back a little bit, you start to engage it. So,
Sure.
we have lighter rehab bands where that comes on a lot slower. We have, our 50-pound band, you step back a foot, you're already at like 12 pounds, right? So,
Sure.
that is like a very bad experience if you are coming in and, either you're experienced, but you don't have a high level of neck strength. You
Sure.
could just be someone who's smaller, right? So, yeah, those are a couple of aspects I think that, like I said, any neck strengthening is great. It's important because most people just aren't doing it.
Yeah.
And the other aspect is, and this is, what has kind of fueled a lot of our growth outside of sports and just more, you know, people sitting at a computer all day. And this is the death by a thousand cuts of tech neck, right? You just wake up
Yeah.
one day and, oh, I must have slept on my pillow wrong. It's no, you've been, hunched over a computer, you've been on Instagram on your phone for the last like 8 years straight.
Yeah.
And so this is something that obviously is relevant at every age group, but when you're looking at kids now coming to the weight room, like what percentage of them are not hunched over their phone half the day, right? So
Yeah.
it's another underlying issue that is now there across almost every kid. But when you're talking home gyms, you're talking adults, you're talking families where there might be kids involved. And so, from the adult standpoint, yeah, you might have these fitness goals that are tied to, maybe you're a high rocks athlete or a triathlete or marathon, or you get after it every day because it's important.
Yeah.
Um, it's everyone's on technology somewhere or another. Or, I mean, we've at one point we noticed we started selling to some long haul truckers. We're like, what's going on
Yeah.
here? And you have conversations with some of these customers, and it's like, this is actually the kind of the perfect customer for a product like this because they're on the road all the time, and they're just, you're in a suboptimal postural position for extended periods of time, and plus, you're shrugged, and all these things combined there that you wouldn't think, all right, long haul truckers, what are they using an iron neck for? But
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I mean, there's dozens of these very unique either professions or sports that have just been customers because their neck hurts, and we've been like I said, good listeners, and a lot of our stories that we've unearthed have just come from kind of digging a little bit deeper and peeling back on like, how did you get here, right?
Yeah.
Where did the neck issues kind of come from? And the thing we've realized is that every one of these stories, there's hundreds of thousands of other people that are pretty much identical to it, and have also never thought about neck strengthening until it will become a problem at some point.
Sure. Yeah. So next question is specifically about home gym. So good transition from what we were just talking about. How have you guys worked within the home gym community? How do you see Iron Neck being a good fit for a home gym owner? All that good stuff.
Yeah. So, like I said, we started selling to pro and college weight rooms, and that was the setting. Um, but we were also going to, the NSCA, which is the National Strength and Conditioning Association. And yeah, some of the coaches that we were meeting there were part of these big institutions, but some of them ran, training out of their home gym. And
Sure.
so, some of those were more specialized, maybe just working with MMA fighters, boxers, anything kind of jujitsu. Others that were like very focused on the gamut of youth contact sports, right? Lacrosse, football, field hockey and girls, wrestling. Obviously, that's kind of in a lot of these. So we started getting exposure there, and immediately, I mean, one of the main value props of our product is it's this neck thing that you attach to a wall, a cable weight stack, a column, right? I mean, you can use this 99.9% of places, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a huge advantage in the home gym setting. The other piece is that there's not really a solution that's out there for neck that doesn't take up 16 or 20 square feet,
Yep.
that most people, it's not even, it's a conversation killer, right? Or deal killer.
Yep.
So yeah, so early on was understanding these customers, learning as much as we could. um, One of the pieces of like organic content that we first saw was Brian Cushing, formerly of the
Mhm.
Texans, linebacker, right? I mean, one of the guys that's like laying down the hits, right? An enforcer in the field. He was an early customer because he trained with Joe DeFranco, who was
Joe
an early
DeFranco.
adopter of ours.
Yep.
And the piece was actually not from his account, it was his wife's account.
Huh.
Um, and it was just one of these walking into the garage gym, filming him and just being like, what are you doing? It's like, what alien probed you? And so it's like, you know, it's the same kind of reaction we get today. It's like nothing has really changed in that sense.
Yeah.
But there's 100,000 of these things out there in the wild that exist. So, and for us, those were opportunities. It's like we then got in with the Texans, and we're getting into more NFL teams. But the home gym setting, learning in those early days and being able to kind of refine our understanding of what was important, that stuff, I like to think that we're like really good marketers. That stuff just, I mean, we just put that right into what we were putting out, right? I mean, I think the best form of marketing is just stealing from the horse's mouth and putting it right out
Yeah.
there. Because at the end of the day, like, us as a brand or a company, it's a tough haul to convince you to buy our product. Even with the ones that like we hit at home run, like it's still very, very hard. So being able to understand more and literally pull that stuff into our marketing and see, oh, that resonates, right? And then it's a never ending cycle. So that was in the early days. And then we were keen to get connected with garage gym reviews, garage gym labs, and they did some of the early reviews, and they were good reviews. They were honest though, right? This thing's big, expensive. It's not comfortable. It's expensive. Um, we've improved on most of those things. There's not a world where 100% of people are going to be cool with you putting something on their head, even if it's
Yep.
comfortable, right? Some people it's hair, some people it's the forehead, and you take this thing off and you'd have, in the early days when our pad was a lot firmer, you would just have this red mark that would take 10 minutes to go away. So like these are all things that just get in the way of of kind of a seamless, all these other reasons that make sense to
Yeah.
kind of make that jump. But once we got plugged into Garage Gym Reviews and Garage Gym Labs, and then um, we launched an update on the product and kind of get that out there, and it was just helpful to get more and more feedback from these types of stakeholders. Um, I say stakeholders. I mean, these are people, right, that are like dealing with these
Yeah.
challenges, and
Yeah.
we only understand them because we've just met a whole lot more of these same types of customers who took a swing on us. So um, that's the other piece I would add to this that like still is very much relevant is you know it's expensive, right?
Yeah.
What most people don't know, it's expensive to kind of run and grow a company.
Yep.
And there's a whole lot of challenges underneath that. I mean, I think people probably think we're just like shoveling money into our pockets. It's you know even when things do go well, a lot of that's reinvested into the company, right? I mean,
Yep.
we've put a ton into R&D over the years to come from a 15-pound to a 6-pound product to a 3-pound product to a 2-pound product, and then I mean dozens and dozens and dozens of iterations that improve the type of foam or exactly how we had something fit. So, but where something is thought of as expensive, well, what are you actually getting out of it? And for some people, it's very clearly aligned, right? I had this problem or I have this threat and I got this thing, like I got these other things hanging on my squat rack in my gym, right? And these things all do something that kind of help contribute towards that. And um, the home gym is a very unique setting because it's for a lot of people, it's actually where like family gets involved, right? You'll have you are the procurer of the equipment, but your wife trains on it. You've got kids that are maybe middle school, maybe high school, right? They are athletes, and so now you have 3 or 4 people who legitimately can use a product. And whether it's I sit at a desk all day and this is my problem, or I'm starting lacrosse here and I've got this pencil neck, I'm a freshman, and
Sure.
I, like my head's going to go everywhere, right? This is actually something that legitimately everyone can and should be using, but it's the education piece. Most people just don't know, and if it's not kind of coming in that way, then you're just not going to have these opportunities for everyone to benefit from it.
Sure. Yeah, I have an iron neck. I'm working on my review as we speak. My process, my chiropractor, who I haven't gone to in a long time because things have been real good, which is nice. He follows me on Instagram. When I mentioned I had it, he's like, "Hey, do you want to run some experiments together?" I said, "Yep, let's do it." So he took some X-rays of me before using it, like 30 days in, 60 days in, and then we're going to do some more. I think one more round here soon, and then take a look at like, can we see any changes from that kind of stuff, as well as my own personal experiences and notices and stuff. I'm a big believer in, at least with some of these things, like the iron neck, you don't know what you've got till it's gone kind of thing. And so I've been taking a break from it for a while. So I use it for a bit, then I took a break, and then I'm going to start it up again here soon to finish off the review and see, like, do I notice a difference in my day-to-day feeling, how I look, even just in the mirror and different stuff? Do I sleep better? Do I lift more weights? Whatever it might be from this one piece. So yeah, it's been an interesting experiment so far. So because I have no prior experience with neck training. So
It reminds me of a story from very early on. I'll bring Joe DeFranco back up to the surface. So, he trained Triple H,
yep,
and also worked with Steph McMahon,
yep.
and so he got them working on the Iron Neck, and they both loved it. Um, and I remember, so this was probably like 2018, maybe. Triple H was on DeFranco's podcast, and they were talking about it, and he was explaining how he missed a few days training with the Iron Neck, and he was telling Joe, "Is like, man, I missed that neck thing. Yeah, I got to get that neck thing going back." And I mean, we were through the moon when we heard that. It was just such a cool, I mean, those were the early years, and
yeah,
we knew that he was using our product, but then to hear
Yeah.
this, like you're saying, it's like this guy is actually yearning for our product,
Yeah.
and that guy is Triple H.
Yeah.
So yeah, Joe's been an amazing supporter from the early days, and some of these kind of just, I mean, a lot of the introductions were he had an Iron Neck in his
Yeah.
gym, and so guys are using it, and then
Yeah.
those would be people who reach out to us or be interested. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, Joe DeFranco deserves a lot more viewers and followers and everything than he has. He's a wealth of knowledge, and the cool thing is I've not seen him go the way that a lot do, where like all of a sudden he gets opportunities and then all of a sudden he like completely changes his perspective so he can sell some shit kind of thing. He's very locked into, I build athletes and that's what we do, right? And if it works to build an athlete, cool. He's willing to try different things, even if it's a little weird sometimes. And he's like, if it works, and we keep it. If it doesn't, we move on. And so, yeah, I've been following him for a long time. Always, I think he comes up on a pretty regular basis. I did an article at one point, and it was like the 5 people who kind of built my base understanding of like lifting and stuff, and he was in there because just phenomenal information across the board. So
Yeah, all that's changed over the years. Is There's just a lot more noise out there now.
yeah, yeah. All right, man. Let's wrap this up, huh?
Yeah.
So coming for an AMA here soon. So we got you guys booked for the week of June 25th. Give me one reason why people should be excited about your upcoming AMA.
Yeah, we've got one of the more unique products out there. There's nothing out there like it. We've had quite the journey and evolution from the NFL and UFC to rehab clinics and home gyms, and we've been through it. We've made a whole bunch of mistakes along the way. We've done a few things right, but I'll be answering everything from product development, markets, where we're going from here, as well as anything neck strength research related. I'm just thrilled to anywhere where people are talking about neck. I'm a huge fan.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be at all tied to our product. I just think more people learning about neck strength, because it's something everyone's using, just looking over their phone, right? You're using it, but not really doing anything to offset it. So yeah, looking forward to sharing everything about it.
Awesome. All right, everybody. That's the AMA warm up with Iron Neck. They will be joining us for an AMA coming up here at the end of June. I will have details in the description for you to be able to find that AMA, as well as find more information from Iron Neck if you want to check it out. And that is it. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate your time today. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate it, Joe. Thanks.
See you, everybody.